My face currently feels like I've been run through by Tom Stewart.
Puts it to the top of the square. Oh, beautiful little fist in there by Dale. Crucial centimetre moments.
He definitely has a bit of the Belcho spirit. As I have a bit of the Belcho spirit.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Back Pocket Podcast, hosted by two boys that are still waiting for their invite from Gil to go to dinner to talk about the state of the AFL. We will rudely decline.
Pub dinner?
But we're still waiting.
A pub dinner? I'd love a paid-for pub dinner.
Well, apparently the lamb shoulder is great, but research says it's not actually on the menu.
So it must have been... And, it was steak night. So, why was the special a lamb shoulder? You know, it's very
I
confusing.
think Brad Scott might just have brain damage.
Brad Scott got a steak, and he was like, it's a really nice lamb shoulder.
Really good lamb shoulder. I'm Alistair, that's Jack.
Yeah, that's us. Welcome to the Back Pocket.
That's this podcast.
Yeah, we might have
that we just introed.
Pub dinner, but I don't think it'll be paid for by someone else.
No. Well, unless Gil wants to.
Yeah, I'd happily accept Dill or Gil.
Oh, it's Dill, isn't it?
It's Dill now.
I Gilled him. Oh, well.
It's fine. You've dead named the AFL CEO.
I've dead named the AFL CEO.
It's hard. It's a hard time when it was significantly better under Gill.
Why do we have successive names of Gillen and then Dylan?
It's interesting because he was in the next room.
It was in the next room,
yeah.
So I guess the next one's going to be Killian, but they're going to call him Killen.
Killen.
The AFL's in a great space. He's killing
Gillian
it.
Anderson's next. That'd be great. Gillian Anderson.
What? This is the worst intro we've ever done.
Anyway, I thought this weekend, outside of a couple of games, was another pretty good weekend of footy compared to how we started the year. I think it was mostly interesting because of how many weird upsets there were.
Yeah, I was a little too depressed to take it seriously.
D's getting up and beating Brisbane and keeping your D's flag dream alive.
Oh, yeah. They're definitely not one loss away from being out of contention.
Yeah, it could be this week. Not quite Spoon Bowl. 17th Bowl was quite fun.
Yeah.
North Richmond. That was a really good game.
Good to watch, actually. It was not bad.
Yeah.
It was actually a decent Sunday for once.
Yeah, it really was. I got all
part.
three of them wrong, which is fine.
Same, actually.
Thursday night Gold Coast Hawthorn was an awesome game. Friday night was probably good if you weren't a Carlton fan.
Yeah.
Collingwood Adelaide was as they have been for the last 10 in a row.
And there was just two
Really
smashings.
cool. And then, a couple of smashings.
To round out that one.
But yeah, I thought it was a pretty good weekend.
Yeah, not bad. I mean, it doesn't hold up to, the closest weekend of football in 70 years, but as far as follow-ups go...
To wean you off of it,
it's
it
not
wasn't
bad.
too bad. It
Good
was
before we get back to 60 to 70 point smashings every day.
Yeah, we get the bye rounds next week and there'll be just as many smashings but not as many games.
I am looking forward to the not as many games.
Last of the 4 rounds this week.
I feel like every year we
buys.
pine for the buys, and then when they get here, we're like, ugh, so boring. It's not enough games.
We start with the Western Victorian Derby on Thursday night of Geelong and Bulldogs.
No
and
one's
then
calling it that.
Dreamtime at the G.
Dreamtime should be good.
Should be. Richmond have been so fun to watch. That's been the key of it. North did everything in their power to lose that game, and Richmond just didn't have the experience to take it by the scruff of the neck. But the way they play football is just so fun. Lawler is sick, and watching your Campbells and even Dow playing fast, exciting football because they're you've got nothing to lose down that point of the ladder, right?
Yeah,
it's just really cool. It's really cool. So
Carlton GWS huge for the ladder.
That's a massive game.
Hawthorn Brisbane also huge for the ladder. Brisbane need to.
Yeah.
Back it up after losing to North Melbourne.
And they are, if anyone's their bogey team, it's Hawthorn.
Not excited for the rest of Saturday's games. Or Sundays, to be honest.
Well, I mean, if North Collingwood's the same as last year's North Collingwood game, well...
Not exactly the same.
Not exactly. I hope it's the same margin, but a very different game. And then Sunday, I should be home, I think, before Adelaide beat West Coast by 150 points.
But home before?
Yeah, I should be home before. I think I'm running at 9:30.
I think St Kilda Gold Coast is interesting, if only because it's at Marvel.
Both of those teams make that game. St Kilda's ability to turn it on 1 week and then be irrelevant for 3 weeks versus Gold Coast's ability to shit the bed when they shouldn't makes that game great.
Who's your sure thing? And don't pick Collingwood.
I mean, if I was going to pick a sure thing, probably. I mean,
Well, Adelaide can't pick Adelaide either.
Freo.
Freo, yeah, okay.
The game that they lost last year to miss out on finals, they arguably sorted their shit out last week a lot against GWS. They dominated that game, all game. Really, you were sitting there waiting for the bit where they went full Freo and GWS came back into it, but they just kind of kept them away.
Ideally, what Freo wants is to win that game and then for Carlton to win to keep GWS away from their spot in the 8.
Yeah.
At least temporarily. So,
So it's like,
they obviously need to do their part of the equation, which they couldn't do last year.
no.
So let's
see if they can this time. There's a few matchups that are interesting from how they went last year this week.
don't ask me why.
Like Bulldogs beat Geelong at home at the end of the year last year, which cost Geelong a home final, which didn't matter anyway because they beat Port. But and then obviously Freo lost to Port at home last year, which cost them a spot in the 8. So be interesting to see if there's any revenge games there. And then Gold Coast St Kilda trying to make up for playing the worst game in football history last year, when we were thankfully at a party. And was that was the free kick ending, wasn't it? Yeah.
The one I remember
Andrew
most
King.
was Carlton GWS from the back half of last year when Carlton were, second on the ladder and somehow at halftime just decided to not show up for the rest of the year. So,
Yeah. So-
I'm hoping we have a reverse of that.
Again, lots of teams looking for revenge for their last year result. So
Yeah.
Everyone's crazy about Finnbar now. We thought he had a funny moustache before the season started, and now he's all over the internet.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of puff pieces.
He's kicked
Why?
one goal in a couple of games.
Missed one on the siren.
Yeah. Well, went way over his run-up time,
Yeah.
which he made a joke about, saying, like, playing basketball and having a shot clock, if anyone should be hyper-aware.
Yeah.
Kicked 1 goal, 1 on the weekend.
Yeah, I saw puff pieces. Someone called him his new favorite player. I can't
Zeta?
remember who it was.
Yeah.
Just
He
seems
spelled
like,
his name wrong.
seems like
which is very
people are
easy to
just
do.
making fun of a guy who's okay at football
He's okay.
and has a
He's-
mustache.
He's just North Melbourne's Pat Voss.
It
And that's
feels
fine.
it feels very early era Levi Casbolt.
Yeah. I mean, someone I think it was Joey Montagna.
Maybe.
Called him,
Yeah.
like, comparable to Levi Casbolt.
Yeah.
And then he did shank it, and we were like, oh, yeah, okay, never mind.
that'll
He
do.
clunks him and he shanks him. That's
Clung so many shanks him.
that's a Casbolt model right
that
there.
on
He
the
might become a
mantle.
good backman for a little while at the end of his career. Look, I think it is fun. Like a key forward that's a little bit shit is always fun, and that's why Finnbar and Patrick Voss are fan favourites. But you get sick of them. Like that's the problem. Like they're fun when they're young, but you get sick of them. Oh Jesus, that's a horrible sentence.
You need a mental editor. You need to edit the things you say before they come out of your mouth. Brad Pitt. Do you want to move on to the votes?
Brad Pitt, just not very nice to his wife and kids. It's Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, that's what I meant. I'm not a movie.
They were both hot in the
movie
90s. Okay,
superstar
they're both
guy.
kind of hot now, but they were very hot in the 90s.
I meant Leo.
The Circle of Parody is finally complete. It was completed in 3 different
Didn't
ways.
we already do this?
No, it wasn't quite ready last week
Oh, okay.
because St Kilda hadn't lost West Coast yet.
Oh, true.
We
We just
waiting
had
for
this
it.
conversation.
Well, we thought it was going to be either West Coast beating Richmond or North, and we didn't account for the fact that St Kilda were absolutely, even though we mentioned on the podcast last week, that's the kind of game
you
they
can
lose.
do a full circle for every team. So one team has beaten another, then that team has beaten another, all the way back in the circle, and now, like I said earlier in the week,
don't
and I
have to talk
thought
about
we
it
never had to
anymore.
talk about it again, now officially we never have to talk about it again. So if you bring up the potato of parody to me ever again, I'm going to give you a nipple cripple. At least for 2025.
It's harsh to say because no one wins up there.
I really thought you were just going to say it again to
But
make
my-
this podcast unlistenable as I climb over the table to give you a nipple cripple.
You break the new table. My doubts over Hawthorn have been renewed a bit in the last few weeks. Like
Sure.
their start to the season, I was like, oh, hang on. And then I've gone, maybe Sydney and Carlton weren't as good as I initially thought. So those wins weren't as impressive as I initially thought. And their last couple of, like, they barely beat Melbourne. Had a couple losses and they really struggled over the line. Like, they challenged Gold Coast, but didn't look like winning. I think they've got a really important few weeks coming up. They've got
they're in their
Brisbane,
rough
they've got
spot.
Collingwood coming up soon. They need to head into the buys with some form. We'll see how they go.
Yes, it is Brisbane, Collingwood, Bulldogs, Adelaide, and then the bye.
And the bye? Yeah.
So
that's,
4 big games. One of them, the Adelaide one's in Tasmania.
so
I think.
they
So
should win that. Like, they're pretty strong down there. But
if anyone's defence is set up to play against Adelaide's 3 forwards, it should be
yes.
Hawthorns. So
And you can put Barris on Walker because neither of them can move
neither
over.
of them need
so
to
they're,
move.
they're fine. Melbourne's back, maybe. Maybe they've won what, 4 of their last 5. They
Clayton
were
Oliver's
up
a
by
tagger now.
point.
So.
He tagged and won the ball on the weekend, which is a step up from the week before. But yeah, even in their one loss of the last 5 games, they're up by a point over Hawthorn at 3/4 time. Everyone was losing their minds about the Cozzy trip in the goal square, but they lost by 6 goals, so it's
I don't care.
probably not that.
Should have sacked all the umpires.
But it's nice. It's a bit of vindication for the fact that we both thought they would be better this year than last year. Even if, maybe not winning the flag. But it's felt a bit better watching them being like, okay, that was more what I expected from the start of the season.
Can you imagine if they win the flag from here, though?
Like, they played that really good game. It'd be amazing.
We'd do it. Extra special.
Can you imagine? Like, Goodwin would be absolutely within his right to just, like, walk around to every media centre in Victoria and just be like, you fucker. But yeah, I think they looked so good in that game against GWS early in the year that they lost in the wet. And their first half against Geelong in Geelong was like more than passable. But then they've just been outside of that in those first 5 games. They were dreadful. Like they got pumped by North and Gold Coast. And then suddenly they beat a Freo team who looks decent. Almost beat Hawthorn, and then fucking beat Brisbane in Brisbane, which no one saw coming, I don't think. So good for them. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, Ross Ball has come crashing back down to earth.
Yeah. We did point this out in our stocks up, stocks down. We talked about how Ross Lyon's stocks are dropping, and I feel like losing to West Coast, being
that's
the first to lose to West Coast.
Yeah, that's as low as your stocks can get, I think. But
Um,
it would be so them to win this week. Like in the same way that it would be so Port to beat Freo this week after their, almost beat Adelaide in the showdown, get murdered by Geelong, and then you go to Perth to play Freo. No one expects you to win. That's the kind of game Port wins.
Yeah.
Ken Hinkley loves revving them up as the underdog. That's his favourite kind of messaging. Which
Why doesn't he just do that every week?
Well, you're not always the underdog, unfortunately.
Lie.
Yeah, lie, I guess. Yeah. Why not? There's a lot of stuff about like just get rid of him now and start Carr in now. It's like why? What good does that do?
Oh, it means I don't have to see Ken Hinkley on the TV anymore.
That is true.
They love to.
What if you coach
during a Port game? If they're losing, you know that the last
they go
quarter
straight to him.
is just going to be him sitting on the bench with the camera zoomed as far as possible as he just sits there. He's down by 60, 70 points. Leave him be.
That shot of him looking at the blank screen's one of my favourites.
That is funny. But
yeah.
Anyway, let's do the votes.
The votes.
The votes.
The votes.
We vote. I don't know the spiel. We vote 1 through 5, the best defender of the round based on all of their statistics.
Or not statistics.
Or not, or vibes.
Could be
and
vibes.
Jack tallies them all up in his weird little spreadsheet.
I got a
and he
weird
puts them
spreadsheet.
on the website,
Many
and I
pages.
am hands off.
Yeah. So, my one this week, because you did the intro.
I did the intro and the spiel.
And the spiel was Carl Amon.
Yeah, fair enough.
He had 30 disposals, 6 of which were intercepted, 7 contested, 11 rebound 50s, which is huge. 884 metres gained. He had a 23 player rating and 2 coaches' votes. In a loss in pretty hard to play in conditions usually, especially for someone who usually plays a really silky style of ball movement.
They were very hot and sweaty.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of them walked out there wet. It was that humid up there. So, 1 vote, Carl Amon from me.
That's totally fair. My 1 vote goes to, apparently, one of our favourites over the past few weeks. Nick Haynes gets 1 vote from me.
Nick Haynes, special mention.
Can't get any more than 1. He had a 19.4 rating game in a loss like that. He had 10 intercepts, 5 marks, no losses from 2 contests. Normally he's a intercept guy, not a one-on-one guy. 7 spoils, 7 rebounds. Good game. Continue this form. Carry on.
Really good game. Surprising me once again with my 2 votes is Mark O'Connor.
Mark O'Connor's my 2 votes.
He was better. He was better.
Yeah. 801 metres gained.
801 metres gained, 5 score involvements. He had 28 disposals at 96%, 10 of which were intercepts.
Yep.
11 marks.
Yep.
Just chucked in a spoil for fun. It was really good. He really set them up from the back half. He looks both like in a really good shape in terms he's fast and strong at the moment.
I remember
his decision making doesn't seem as shaky as it usually does. So
touch wood.
But-
First quarter of that game, I was like, Jack Henry wants to be back in the
Right,
votes, and then Mark
yeah.
O'Connor stole his spot. So, sorry, Jack.
When I watched the replay of that, because obviously I was at work when that was on, plus, and then we went and got burgers. But
Burgers.
Same thing, watched the first quarter and I went, damn, Jack Henry is just here. He's back. And then from that moment on, it was like, no, never mind. It's the Mark O'Connor show, the whole back line. So, yeah.
Easy. Who's your
Irish boys getting it done?
3?
My 3 was to Sam Collins.
Sam Collins, special mention.
Special mention. He only had 15 disposals in true Sam Collins fashion, but 11 of those 15 were intercepts. He had 10 marks, 6 intercepts, 9 spoils, won both his one-on-ones, had 5 score involvements, and 3 of those were launches.
Well, now you're making me feel like I should swap them, but I can't. Special mention. My 3 votes is to Callum Wilkie.
Callum Wilkie was a special mention for me.
That's fine. So, he had a huge rating game.
Yeah.
I think he was highest rated on, or second highest.
I think so, yeah. Highest, I thought, yeah.
24 disposals, 9 of which were intercepts, 6 marks, no losses from his 4 contests. He was holding up that back line. And then he had the Devils number, 6 spoils, 6 rebounds, 6 score involvements.
I like that. That's worth votes.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I looked at that and went, yeah, cool.
He was second because Ron Marshall was first.
Okay.
For just absolutely...
To be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ron Marshall had an insane game, but St Kilda could do nothing with all the dominance Marshall had.
I think he is the only reason they're not getting demolished.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we said this a few weeks back
Yeah.
about he was the best thing about watching them play. I think it was that awful Freo game.
I feel like if we were to pick our All-Australian fullbacks right now based on how important they are to their team not getting annihilated, I would pick him and I would pick Alex Pearce. Because even when they're getting annihilated, Alex Pearce is the only one trying.
And weird special mention to Billy Frampton for just
Yeah, true.
toughing it out lately. Speaking of Collingwood defenders, my 4 votes is to Jeremy Howe.
My 5 votes is to Jeremy Howe, and I've said it before, I feel like he might just be, unfortunately, one of my favourite players in the competition.
He is immortal, maybe?
Yeah.
Like, last year, he broke his arm so bad he had a plate put in it. Came back and played with the plate in. The plate got infected, and then came back again before the end of the year.
Either way.
It was last year because they won the flag the year before he played all that year. He had 17 at 94. 13 of those 17 were intercepts, which is pretty insane. 8 rebounds, 2 score involvements, and he just marshalled that backline.
Yeah.
He was so good. He's so... Like, the things we've talked about Haynes for in recent weeks, like reading where the drop of the ball is going to be before anyone in the pack.
Always been good at that.
He's really good. And it's just so funny in hindsight that he left Melbourne to be a forward.
To play forward.
And he's become one of the most reliable third talls of the last, 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jeremy Howe.
Which just leaves my 4 and your 5. My 4, Bailey Dale.
Bailey Dale.
Is your 5?
He's my 5.
Okay, that's
I
fair.
couldn't not... I wanted to make it Howe, but that Dale game was insane.
49 disposals is insane, right? But I looked at the majority of them being receives, as opposed to Jeremy Howe, who
winning his own ball
was
intercepts.
13 intercepts. So that's how I decided that. But
for me, the thing was the obviously 1,016 metres game, which is nuts. Plus 11 score
11
involvements.
score involvements.
So he was obviously setting everything
Yeah.
up. That's 1 in 4 of his disposals was a score involvement.
Which seems low.
Which seems low from 46, but he also had it twice in some of those, which only counts as 1 score involvement. But he also still had 6 intercepts, 5 rebound 50s, and 6 defensive half pressure acts.
Yeah. And for anyone who wants to say, winger, he played over 70% defensive
he was
half.
Absolutely.
He was coming up from the back half to be the defensive / attacking option.
If Essendon weren't awful, he might have had more disposals because they didn't kick enough points for him to take enough kick-ins. So the funniest part was at the end there, when he was screaming for Bailey Williams to give him the ball. And Bailey Williams just dropped it inside. His fellow, but he got Baileyed. Anyway, he just drops it inside 50 with an almost nothing kick with a minute to go. And
All he had to do was handball it.
All he had to handball it. Shocking.
When was the last time we saw a 50? It would have
It
been a while.
would have been a long time. Lockie Neal, maybe?
Didn't Newcombe get a 50? No, make that up.
Either way, it's the most ever at Marvel and the most ever by a Bulldogs player. So well done, Bailey Dale. I've always been a big fan of Bailey Dale.
Oh, yeah.
He was also really good on the Gold Coast last week too. It's just 2 really good games in a row.
I remember when we were losing our mind when they were subbing him. And
started him as a sub a couple times last
we
year.
We were just losing it, but I think Bailey Dale has always been a good, a highlight to watching that team.
You talk about crazy Bevo, but clearly, again, it worked, didn't it?
It worked.
He is
I
in
can't
career best
question it.
form since it happened. So,
and Bevo loves to take the credit for it.
He does, doesn't he?
When they mentioned, why did you put him as the sub earlier in the year? He's like, well, blah blah blah, works out now. Look at what he did today. Fuck off.
My other special mentions, obviously there was a few as I mentioned, but Josh Weddle, John Noble, Jack Henry, and I mentioned Billy Frampton because he was up against those big dogs with no more, just him and Howe. He had 10 spoils and won 8 out of 10 contested defensive one-on-ones, which is pretty good.
And I would like to special mention a defender who was not playing defence, and that's just Brady Hoff.
He won the midfield.
I watched that game and I texted Tim, West Coast supporting friend, and I said, I think I might love Brady Hoff.
No hassle for Hoff was the Papalia call.
Yeah. So shame that he moved out of defence, but he had a huge impact in that game, and it was awesome to watch.
He was really good.
His goal was awesome.
It was so cool. Round highs, most spoils with Coleman with 11. Most intercepts was Jeremy Howard with 13. Most intercept marks was Sam Collin with 6. Most neutralisations was Frampton with 8 out of 10. Most lossless was Jack Payne with 5 out of 5. And most rebounds was Carl Amon with 11. We had almost all of them in the votes this week.
Ah, well, there you go. That's cool.
And unusual. Speaking of Bevo, I did like his little jab at Bailey Williams today in the media, if you saw it.
No, I didn't.
He
getting real sick of coaches and their jabs, so tell me more.
yeah. No, this one was kind of funny. He was just talking about the game and getting down to Geelong, and he said, after Bailey talking about Ballarat the other week, he said it's funny that it seems that us coming down there is the only way that they can sell out Geelong. And I thought that was really funny.
Good.
And then Bevo immediately goes, and I regret saying that because that's the only thing that's going to make the headlines. From this interview.
Well, I didn't see it, so that's good.
And he actually made some other it was actually a really interesting press conference. He was pretty open and chatty for a change.
Tom Morris must not have been there.
or Damien Barrett. Anyway, I did enjoy that. It was a nice little bit. I also thought it was really smart from Geelong to just not have Bailey Smith in the limelight this week. Like, they just pulled him out of training before the media came in.
You would turn this into a good thing. I just don't care.
No, I just like before the media, because the media are obviously, and as they will, and it's Bailey Smith's fault.
Yeah, they're just going to take videos of him training. What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
They do it every week for every single player in the AFL. I don't see why Bailey Smith needs a special treatment of being
loads of players do modify programs, though.
Of course. But I feel like Geelong have specifically done this to keep him out of the limelight.
After the captain's run today, absolutely. Yesterday is modified program because it wasn't a media day.
Sure.
But captain's run today.
I do seriously feel like, he's run his mouth and he's gotten to a point where he's like, shit, consequences be upon me.
Yeah.
But, I don't want the media talking about it because I don't care.
He's lucky it's a home game.
Yeah. Well, did you see, was it called Middlemass or was it the other guy? They did a deep dive into all of the revenge games, as you would call them, and they are almost always on the leaving players' home turf and out of the limelight. So, you saw the Collingwood one with Jack Ginnivan, they put that in Adelaide. Dan Houston was in Melbourne instead of being in
Rory Lobb was
in Adelaide. All of these things are happening at the, you call them the offender if you need to, their home ground. So Bailey Smith playing up against his old club with his home crowd.
Rory Lobb was in Perth, actually. I remember that because they made that stupid beer.
Rory Lobb is not big enough to be on this list.
I mean, it was literally why Freo lost that game.
Yes, but that's a Freo problem.
He wasn't why, but he was why.
They have had so many players leave that club. So many, he's the one
that got to them. I don't. It's very odd.
Just rolling through Langdon, Chera. There's one in the top of my head that's really good. It's escaped me. But so many players that they could have had. Weller's another one. Well, I mean, they really threw him away, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
So many players that they could be pissed that actually left.
But that's the one.
And Rory Lobb's on Scotland turned out okay. Now he's at the Bulldogs playing defence. But when he left Freo,
they didn't have anyone up there. I mean, they lost him and Hogan.
Yeah, but he was not good at that time.
No. He wasn't at the Bulldogs at that time either. I still remember that, Eagle Hagen kicking the middle of the ball, taking that shot on goal, but they're all trying to fight lobs. The ball's gone straight up in the air, and no Freo players were looking at the ball. Yeah. Insane.
Part of me hopes that happens again this week with the Bulldogs, but it won't. Lockie Schultz, another one. But it won't happen. No, it'll be a normal game.
The Bulldogs are too sensible for that. They don't have that. Libba will be a shit for sure because that's in his blood, but that won't make him play worse. I don't see it turning into any kind of a spite match.
I would like it to though. Give me something to do while we're watching what will probably
tomorrow night. You'll be asleep.
Yeah. Good point.
You'll wake up. You're like, footy's on. Shit.
Work's ruining me.
I feel that myself.
Is that 100% that I think he should leave bit where he's in the suit and he goes, I don't even want to be around anymore.
Yeah. I think I quoted that the other night.
There's too much shit on me.
I think I quoted that the other night in bed, actually. Yeah.
I think I was watching it before we went to the movies or whatever the other night.
Who's your stocks up and down this week?
I haven't prepared stocks up. I sold just as a joke because I haven't prepared them. I'm going to stocks up Sean Manor because we just learned some stats about him that are insane.
Yeah, what a clearance forward! That's
Apparently, he has the number one effective clearance game in the comp right now,
a game and is number one for effectiveness,
and is the number 6 rated forward in the league. So maybe we just see him do all of his really dumb stuff, and we just get a little incensed. So maybe you can buy your stocks in Sean Manor.
We're not really buying the dip. We're repurchasing at higher.
Oh yeah. We're fools. Possibly. I'm still hesitant, but
I want to buy more stock in Sam Lawler.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I think that game on the weekend was enough for me to go, oh yeah, he's insanely good.
Yeah.
Like I bought stock round 1.
It's a shame they lost, but he was really good.
He's just such a moments player already after 8 games. And I feel like he should be able to have that much, to use the flavour of the month term in the AFL, aura. As like a not even 10-game player, like play his 10th game on the weekend. El Aura game. Oh, yeah. El Aura.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I've just created a new type of tweet. My stocks down will just be Carlton's transition coach. Whoever's in charge of that, why can they get it perfectly to midfield and then the ball just somehow shifts reality and ends up in an opposition defender's hands? Something going on there.
Yeah.
Don't know who it is, but stocks down on them.
I can't stocks down the footy gods, but I feel like Essendon's injury list is getting cruel and unusual at this point.
Stocks down the hangar where they train.
Yeah, stocks down the hangar. What is a good stocks down this week?
Did you not prepare them?
No,
you brought up a segment with you having no preparation and me having no preparation.
Down, but I couldn't really get there. I mean, it would have been Ross again, wouldn't it? But it really can't be.
Off the top of my head, I can't remember anything else.
Yeah, I don't remember anything too bad that happened on the weekend.
No.
No. Stocks down, paying too much for Ruckman, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
St Kilda are offering like a generational deal to Koning, and West Coast are now offering like millions to Cameron. And like no recent list build other than Melbourne has been around a Ruckman. Like it's just not... West Coast won a flag with Nat Nui on the sidelines.
It's very funny for St Kilda. And I mean, they did lose the game, so credit where credit's due, but they just had Rowan Marshall have the most insane game as their number 1 ruck.
Maybe the best ruckman game we've seen.
They want to push him into the forward line.
It makes no sense. And like West Coast, maybe I get like you've got a real dearth of talent right now. Cameron is a very good footballer and he's from WA, so it's a bit different with them. But if St Kilda have got Marshall, you don't need to be hunting another one. But yeah, stocks down, paying too much for rucks. Don't do it. It makes no sense.
I've talked recently about this, how I feel like there are many positives to the Carlton side of things if Tom de Koning does take that deal, salary cap wise. But yeah, that's too much money for a ruck.
Sure, Collingwood won their flag with Darcy Cameron, but they got him for peanuts from Sydney.
Yeah.
Brisbane
the difference between Darcy Cameron in the flag year and Darcy Cameron now is quite
enormous.
Large.
Brisbane had their first choice ruck, who was not a super expensive ruck, go down and replaced him with Darcy Fort and won a flag.
Yep.
Richmond won 3 with Nankervis, who's great, but he's not ever been in the top 5 to 10 on their list paid wise.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was about to say.
Geelong obviously won with Stanley. It hasn't been the centre point of these builds.
It's been a while. It used to be important. Yep. Cox, Jolly.
Yep. Geelong went out and got Otten specifically for that reason.
That was different. The game was different back then.
Absolutely. Midfield's set up so much better now. That
if you've watched anything Geelong for the past 5 years, you have seen how much they disregard the ruck as a position.
Oh, yeah.
And Geelong are the most successful team over the last however many years. Sure, they haven't won as many flags as Richmond, etc. in that short time, but there's a reason they don't care about it. Don't pay $1.7 million to one player for one position. TDK has not shown that he can effectively be a forward target yet. His most ever goals in a game is 3, and he has not even shown a full season as the number 1 ruck yet.
I was saying to someone the other day, I think St Kilda have gotten so carried away with wanting a big fish.
It's exactly like North Melbourne were.
When they got
Pittard
and Polet.
Yeah.
they're so obsessed with wanting a big fish that they've kind of lost track of the right fish.
Yeah.
Plenty of fish in the sea, but they need to find the right fish.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's going to capsize their boat.
7-year deals going around for, is it Miles or Miller Bergman?
but
whichever one it is. I can never remember.
I understand confusing him with Horn Francis looking at him, but his name's very different on paper. You can't be doing that. That's too much money. The Bulldogs and St Kilda are both very interested in Bergman.
Yeah.
Apparently. So, yeah, I remember when I read that article that, like, the Bulldogs doing this will free up salary cap space for it, and I was like, oh, yeah, Zach Butters, and they're like, Bergman. And I was like, why?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Bergman's fine.
Yeah. I mean, if they lose Bergman and Butters, that's bad. That's bad for them. That'd be shocking. Yeah.
I went looking on the interwebs for a Big Footy Melt for you. I went to the St Kilda board to find one to read out to you so you could guess who it was. They were just too sad.
Just too sad?
And I just closed Big Footy and went...
I went to Port, I went to St Kilda, and I went to Carlton. And all of them were like, I'm just depressed reading this.
Yeah.
It's just fan bases that are just like, yeah, that's about right. And you're like, okay.
Yeah. I don't like to admit that I post on Big Footy, but I like to post immediately after a loss on the first page of the loss thread with positives so that people can angry react to me.
Win or loss, I like to go on to the Geelong Big Footy to look for one guy.
Yeah, I know.
And just see how he's overreacting.
Your namesake, huh?
The season was over after the loss to GWS. The very close loss that they probably should have won against GWS. And they were going to lose to Port by 5 goals. And they're not even a good team. They probably won't make the top 8. And anyway, they belted Port. So it'll be interesting to see what his predictions are this week.
It'll be funny if Geelong missed the 8. We'll come back to this and say, well...
Yeah, I mean, they might.
He was right.
Who knows? Game of the week?
Ugh. Yeah, I'm just going to go Thursday night. Even though it's on a Thursday night, Geelong Bulldogs.
I think it should be. But both teams have the capacity to completely shit the bed against each other.
And I've currently tipped the Bulldogs by 4 points.
I've tipped Geelong by 5, so I understand where you're coming from.
I do feel like, though, at the end of the night, we might be sitting here saying, wow, one team really did win by 65 points,
huh? Absolutely. Like, both teams have done that to each other recently when they shouldn't have. I've gone Hawthorn Brisbane, I think.
Fair. Gunston Bowl.
Yeah. Gunston Bowl. Yeah, I think that one's interesting for me. But I also think, like, Carlton GWS, big game. Freo Port, big game. Melbourne Sydney really could be game of the round. But who knows?
Battle of two cities.
And then we say all this, and it'll be something like Adelaide West Coast. It'll be like a 5-point thriller for no reason.
How?
I don't know.
Don't see it happening.
I don't know. It might be.
Put your money on it.
No. Sounds like a bad idea.
I think you can't, right?
I can't legally. I had one more. If you were a football player, what would your goal song be?
Oh, I have thought about this.
You thought about it?
I think because, like, obviously I would want to pick a song that properly represents me. But it would have to be something that, gets the crowd going. Yeah. So I think it would have to be... it'd just be the start of with the horns. That's the impression that I get.
Oh, okay.
I think that's the most me and memeable song.
I like that.
Someone probably already has it. I think Mumbo No. 5 is a good choice as well.
Yep.
And I guess if they would let me, either Intergalactic or Sabotage by the Beastie Boys.
That'd be sick, actually.
Any of those three I'd be very happy with.
I thought you'd go more like when you said the people would recognise, I thought you'd go more like Thanks for the Memories or something like that.
See, I like, obviously, I am an emo at heart, and I mean real emo, not like sad, flippy. Well, I did used to have flippy hair, so maybe
we both should.
But like, I would love to pick something like that, but I feel like it's, as an AFL player, obviously mental health is important. I feel like if you pick a song like that, you're going to get fucking jeered from the crowd for it.
I was thinking like...
I remember listening to Fall Out Boy in high school. Someone grabbed my MP3 player and said, listening to this sissy shit, you should be listening to Lamb of God. So...
And that person's playing AFL now, no?
I'll tell you who that was after the podcast, and you'll be like, really? Anyway. What's your goal song?
I thought Mbop would be great.
Mbop's good.
I think that'd be really cool.
Which part? From the start, or...?
It'd have to be like... around the start, because I think that like the guitars coming in is really good.
Goes, ooh, yeah.
Like with the twangy guitars coming in. Yeah, I think that'd be really cool.
I wish you'd given me time to research this, but I think freestyler's a good one.
Oh, yeah, that'd be
Straight
cool.
from the top of my dome,
Yeah.
especially if you're bald.
Rock a microphone. Yeah. Aiden Johnson should make freestyler his goal song. That'd be so good.
Good. The real answer is I would tell my club that goal songs are a
dumb.
disgrace to footy tradition and that they should not be played after goals. But if I had to have one, it would be one of those.
If my choice is individual goal songs
Or
the
Coldplay.
one riff from Thunderstruck or Coldplay each time, I'm choosing individual goal songs every time.
I feel like, do you think they just don't have the budget to license more than one song to play at the ground, Freo?
Maybe.
They should fix that. If they're going to do it, just give them goal songs.
Yeah, I wonder if... I think they might have changed this year. All I know is the one game they did Wolfie time, and again this year they lost. So
They do Whoppy time every home game.
I don't think they do anymore. I think they do it when they
Because they keep
need to...
losing?
You know, when they need to get going.
I think it pops up at that same minute mark of that quarter every time.
Thanks, Pav. But yeah,
I would love to do a whole podcast where I just talk about good goal songs.
good goal songs.
It's the most interested I've been in the podcast for weeks.
There's so many good choices, right? Like, I feel
Yeah.
like some players choose really uninspired choices for goal songs.
I like it when they choose something weird. Like, I don't know which player it is, I can't remember, but they keep choosing classical music pieces.
Yeah,
That's
it's
good.
George Wardlaw.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like that too. I like Joe Danaher picking Let It Go because his daughter liked
Yeah.
it. That's cute.
And it's obviously they're going to be watching the game, they'll hear it, and
Yeah.
they'll sing along when he kicks a goal.
That's
So
really
that's
cool.
awesome. More like that would be good. I don't know, like...
I know Beth gets really excited anytime Zach Bailey kicks a goal and DJ Otzi comes on.
Because that's one of the best choices.
Yeah.
If it wasn't already a popular one,
Yeah.
it would be on my list.
Yeah.
Because that song is just quintessential.
Put the downfall of us all, but just
Primary
the...
school.
Could you imagine people in the crowd freaking out?
Yeah, if pick a heavy song, pick an Architect song.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think it'd be like some players you can tell like clearly really think about it, and others just go, "Here's one on the list of approved songs."
Yeah,
Click.
yeah, and that's what I think the problem would be. We have to be on that list of
And
approved
that's
songs.
why I need Finnbar to kick a goal in a home game. He keeps kicking goals in away games.
What's his song?
His is Freebird,
Freebird's
which is a great
good.
goal song.
Even Flow.
Like
Flow is a great choice.
I saw someone say that earlier today. Banger choice. I think it was one of the
Especially if you do the skateboarding T-pose after a goal. Anyway.
Stephen Flow. Yeah, I think that one's a really good one. But yeah, like Freebird's so good for someone like Finnbar as well.
Yes.
Where like he kicks that and he's doing his big celebration because he just loves footy. He's just a big goober. And Freebird plays amazing. Hearing him talk about like how much he enjoys his teammates kicking goals was so funny. He was talking about he was standing there lining up in the forward line of the MCG this week, first game at the MCG for him, and Jack Darling was there, and he's like, the last time I saw you here, it was the grand final, and I was sitting there. And I was like, that's so funny. Like, I guess that's like your non-traditional pathway guys, right?
Yeah.
Like, he hasn't spent the last 10 years thinking he's going to play football. He thought he was going to play basketball.
Yeah.
And now he's out there playing football, and he's having all these moments where he's like, man, this is crazy.
Maybe he is your favourite player now. Maybe this is a Finnbar Maley fan podcast.
Maybe. We'll see.
Change the intro to
Maybe he'll
Freebird.
And then get the podcast taken down immediately. Anyway, I hope he plays well. I like a big fast forward.
I like...
Casbolt was one of our favourites, even after he left Carlton for years.
Yeah.
It's good fun.
His career best
I
season
still
year
talk
after
about
leaving.
Ken Kingsley.
I swear to God, when you started talking about everyone loving shit forwards, I almost said his name, and I said, no, this will summon Jack telling a story about
okay.
Kent Kingsley,
I'm not gonna
or
do
socks, or boots, or whatever.
I'm not going to do it.
And he fucking brought him up
But I'm not
like
gonna
clockwork. It just took half an hour.
I tried not to as well. Did you see the Zerha Boots thing?
No.
He...
If you start telling this story and it leads into the Kent Kingsley boot story,
No.
okay.
No, so Zerha's got like a big ass swollen foot at the moment.
Gross.
So he doesn't fit into his regular footy boots. So he had to borrow Matt Whitlock's footy boots because they're two
much
sizes
taller.
bigger than his.
Yeah.
And those were the ones he wore on
Is he
the
wearing
weekend.
one large boot,
He was
one
wearing
small boot?
one of
That's
Whitlock's
amazing.
boots and one of his own boots.
Is it his kicking?
It was his kicking foot, and he kicked 4 goals on the weekend.
Yeah, damn, all right.
Anyway, so he needs to wear odd boots, even if it's like both his own size from now on. He needs to wear 2 different boots. I think that's got to be the
Nah.
got to be the go.
He's just picking off the key forwards' boots every game.
Just a different one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whichever one's not playing. Finnbar, you're next. I say as if... Actually, when Paul Curtis comes in, there's going to be a crunch for spots.
Yeah, and they'll definitely kick Moose out before anyone else. Shook your head in disgust.
So, yeah, we're an audio-only podcast, but I was the most disdainful head shake. I was like, I can't do it. I love this has all grown from you looking at a guy's face and be like, that's a funny-looking guy pre-season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know it was pre-season. I think it was just 5 rounds ago before we knew who Finnbar Maley was.
Yeah, hadn't played a game yet. Like, who's
Were we
Finnbar Maley?
were we doing footy heads or whatever it was called? I don't remember.
I don't know. I don't think it's out yet. Anyway, that's me done for the week, I think.
Yeah.
You're all good. We talked about goal songs for so long.
That's the only bit of the podcast.
It's not a
worth listening
15-minute
to.
segment on goal songs and Finnbar Maley.
Check out the website where we'll be putting up a playlist of all of our
the best goal
choices. Now, if you doing research for this podcast is my least favourite thing, but if that research was making a playlist
Of
of,
goal
songs, I'd be doing it. I'd be doing it. I just don't have free time at work anymore.
It's like, that was why I didn't come very prepared today. I was like, yesterday I scraped together the votes. Mm-hmm. And we were both not up to it. And then
You were hoping I hadn't done them so we could push the podcast back a
I
day.
really was, and we did. And then today I put together just a couple of bits and pieces.
Next.
Normally what I do is I go, what dumb shit did I tweet about this week? And are they news stories? It's like
got
me
an archive.
tweeting on the Back Pocket page is me keeping track of talking points.
Sure it is. It's not a horrible addiction to Twitter.
Unintentionally. Yeah. Anyway.
I will be similarly prepared next week, but then from then on, I will be back to normal. So I might actually bring some segments and stuff that I look into during the week. But right now, I don't have time.
Yep.
Sorry, guys. I know you look forward to my hard-hitting analysis every single week.
That week you came in with all your numbers about Sydney. It was great.
Yeah, and then the game it backed it up.
It did. Anyway, we will see you next week.